Welcome to the Legacy Cultivators Podcast, the podcast where visionary changemakers share how they're building well-resourced legacies fueled by purpose, alignment, and communal care. Through these conversations, we explore the sacred dance of regenerative ecosystems, where remembrance, holistic entrepreneurship, creativity, and wealth converge. Because true legacy lives in the path that we walk together, a sacred act of weaving memory, resources, and the wisdoms that bring us home. I'm your host, Love Soleil. Now let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Legacy Cultivators Podcast. Today, we have a very, very special guest. I am super excited to invite my sister, Linda Duverné. She is a powerhouse. She is a certified trauma-informed mindfulness practitioner. She is a flower essence practitioner, a guardian of Haitian heritage, and founder of Sagesse Living. We have a lot to talk about. So welcome, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. It was really, powerful.
Yes, I am really happy you're here. So before we get into the conversation and all that juiciness, let's just take a moment, as we always do in every episode, to ground into this present space. And I would love if you could share a word or a phrase that really describes how you're feeling in this moment in your mind, body, and spirit.
I was sitting with this question and I've been replaying this song called Kim Posé by Tali. And that song is literally just like a soothing balm to my spirit when I listen to it. And so I would say the phrase is Kim Posé, like calming heart.
Oh, the heart is calm. I feel that. I love that. I actually really needed that because I feel like I've had a lot of energy of like momentum and like just like this wave of like pushing in a beautiful way. But I'm like, you need to balance that momentum and movement and action with the que poser. So that I love that. That's really beautiful. And I'm super curious if you remember how we met. I had to throw that in there real quick. Do you remember how we met?
Wait, wait, come on. That's like pandemic files. It's really hard.
It's in the archives. We gotta pull it out.
Wait, love. Wait. Time, no, wait. No, you have to know. I can't because I don't.
It's okay. I got us. Okay, so because we gotta let the people know. I'm calling you my sister. They gotta know. So me and Linda met a couple years ago, probably in 2019. So probably right before the pandemic, actually. And we had both gone to this Black Girl in Om. If anyone remembers that, they had like. Yes, she had a podcast and then she had like a live wellness event, and we were both there. And then I think at one point they had us like break into like partners, and me and you ended up partnering for the whatever exercise it was. I don't even remember. And then through that, we had a conversation and found out that we were both at NYU and we were both doing the Gallatin program. Is it coming back?
Yeah, it's coming back. And then we found out we was Haitian. And he was like, oh, no, we gotta connect. Yes.
And the rest was history. So here we are a couple years later. And yeah, so I just wanted to give a little bit of that backstory. But while we're here, if you could just introduce yourself and share a little bit about your personal journey and how it really led you to creating Sagesse Living and the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, thank you for that. And it's funny that you brought up, Gallatin, because Gallatin is part of like my story, my journey. And so name is Linda Duverné, founder, director of Sagesse Living. Sagesse Living is how I conceptualize reconnecting Black and Haitian folks to their intergenerational wisdom through mindfulness programming, meditation, journaling, flower essence therapy, wellness consulting, speaking engagements, in order for us to promote intergenerational healing. So that's something that I've been sitting on, and I've been getting the language around it through my concentration, which I studied in undergrad a couple years ago. And my concentration was self care, mindfulness, and ancestral healing for Haiti's future. So, for those who are unfamiliar with Gallatin, NYU Gallatin, the major is individualized and you get to create your own concentration. So, it literally says that on our transcript like your major is individualized and the name of your concentration that you made up. And so in that, I can give a little, snapshot of what I created. I was looking at the intergenerational trauma of the Haitian diaspora and using Black feminist thought, Haitian history, and the epistemology of Haitian Vodou as tools of intergenerational wisdom, but truly as liberatory liberation practices to call us back into that intergenerational healing that we all need and we are working towards.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Very powerful. And on the topic, as we are both Haitian women and really just finding our unique ways of integrating our heritage and our work within just the everyday aspects of what we do. So I'd love to hear like what does being a guardian of Haitian heritage really look like for you on the day-to-day in your work specifically, and then as well as just in life?
Yeah. It's so interesting that I have called or associated myself with these titles that I've given myself, especially starting in my early 20s. And now it's like, oh, like this is the work. This is what it is. Even though I had the language for it in undergrad. But I would say, as a guardian of Haitian heritage, I think more now than ever, it's looking like how am I archiving the culture of Haitian folks across the diaspora? How am I archiving practices, traditional practices that were done within my family, done within the culture that I will carry forth? And so, how that looks like within my work right now, honestly, just having conversations with my dad in terms of how he raised us, right? We were raised Catholic, but then there were traditional folk medicine that was used to support our protection, to support our prosperity, like through spiritual baths and whatnot. So it's like, okay, learning more about these things and understanding what's the name, what's the story, what's the heritage, and what does it connect to? Connecting to the epistemology of Haitian Vodou. And so welcoming that into the space, welcoming that into my life has been the ways that I've been practicing, not just like talking about it, but actually practicing um, being a guardian of Haitian heritage and preserving the culture. And also to integrating that with nature, which nature is a big part of Haitian culture. It's embedded in everything that we do. And so flower essences is my way as well as my ongoing knowledge around herbalism and the many facets of our culture that is has brought to us into the diaspora.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the flower essences because that's a whole world right there. But I really love how like you have such a holistic approach to this work of guardianship and of heritage because I'm like that's the thing for me as well that like growing up, drinking the teas and doing the things like my mom would when I was a kid, like she would take the Louis Masquet tea, which y'all if you don't know, it's in a little cinnamon box. But if you don't know, the L'huile masquée tea, this is Haitian castor oil, is very strong. This is a lifesaver. Like we use this for everything. So things like growing up with this and really like not thinking about it in the moment, but all these just like how my mom would just go to the backyard. Oh, you have this sickness, or oh, you're dealing with this. Grab the thé, grab the herbs, grab the Louis Masqueti, grab the whatever things, put it together. Even when I used to like my neck would hurt, she would have this thing where she would be like, okay, like take when you're going to sleep, hit your head on the pillow 3 times, turn it over, go to sleep. In the morning, you'll be fine. And literally, like, I would do that. And the next morning, I would be fine. And as a kid, I didn't think about it. I was just like, yeah, cool, I'm doing it. And as
Mhm.
I got older, I'm like, oh, there's so much magic that our families really, just do on the everyday that we don't think about so much
Right.
until after the fact, especially when we move away and then we have to like find our own way. And when things come up that we have to like heal or we get sick, and it's like going back to those roots. And I think it's such an important part of the heritage to always go back to like our families, our upbringing, our roots, our connections, and how that informs, our everyday life now in that guardianship. And so it's really beautiful to hear you talk about how, like, yeah, I gotta go back to the parents. And even though I also grew up Catholic, I'm like, there's so much. It's just you can't take the nature and the spirit out of what we do. Out of like Haitians are so inherently deeply connected to nature. And
Yeah.
so with that kind of incorporating the work you're doing and like how you even connect voodoo and then you do flower essences, I would love to kind of hear about how you use flower essences. Why are they so important to your work, and how the work that you're doing around cultivating awareness in melanated communities around this really sacred and powerful medicine.
Yes, yes, yes to all
Love
of
with it.
that. I love it. I guess where to start is what is flower essences? And I would describe flower essences as I'm always like trying to be creative of how to explain it, but I would say it's vibrational energy from flowers that are hmm. Give me a second because I really want to be intentional with my words.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So flower essences are literally the essence, the vibration, the energy of flowers, put into a tincture that holds, again, the emotional states and energy of that flower. So it is in a liquid preparation. So I'll just use this bottle, and it comes in a bottle. And each flower has its own emotional state, emotional concern that it could address. So there's a flower for every emotion. There's a flower for any energy that we are navigating. And it's really potent medicine. I know a lot of people are confused, like, oh, is flower essences essential oils? No, flower essences are more so targeting the energetic level, the spiritual level, the emotional level. And essential oils can do that, but you can't take in essential oils. Whereas you can take in flower essences under the tongue or in your water, and it holds the integrity, the vibration of that particular flower or the combination of flowers. So I like to say in conclusion that like flower essences is like Reiki in the bottle, but the energy that's
I
coming,
love that.
yeah, right? Like Reiki in a bottle, and the energy that is coming into the Reiki in the bottle is from the flowers. So this way it gets it's helpful for people to think through it. Now as far as my work with flower essences and how I came to this practice, I have a friend um who introduced me to flower essences in college because she grew up on them, and I didn't pay any mind until several years later. I moved out of my parents' home, was going through some I would say concerns of matters of the heart on the emotional and energetic level. And I was just like, what's that thing that my friend was using for da 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 da? And I took a screenshot of it. And so I just scroll, and I was like, boom, there it is. Ordered a bottle. And that really just was the beginning of it all. And then maybe a year and a half later, I put the intention out there that I wanted to be taught by a Black woman within the studies of flower essences. And then, boom, my teacher came. And then now I'm in the clinic aspect of my 500-hour flower essence certification program. So, in the clinic, I have a couple clients. I'm seeing them, and we are addressing their emotional concerns and issues literally through flower essences. Hopefully that made
Yeah.
sense.
Yes, I'm so curious. Okay, because there's so much when it comes to flower essences. Linda actually introduced me to flower essences a couple years ago. I want to say 2020 maybe, because I have a memory of after learning about it. I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this. and this was earlier on in kind of my spiritual awakening. I was like, wow, like really just doing a lot of energetic work and healing anyways. And so when I found out about flower essences, I got really excited about the idea like of the energy that flowers have and how they can be so supportive to our nervous systems and just to our spirit in the midst of very tender times. Because the pandemic was a very, challenging, chaotic, beautiful, not beautiful, all the things in once. And so after she told me about it, I did dabble in and try to make my own. My mom has a beautiful blue vervain um plant, and so I just took some of the little purple and then I put it in some water and I put it under the full moon, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just playing and testing, which sometimes that's what we need in life. But anyways, I ended up deciding to just buy one from someone who knew what they were doing, and I
Right.
got a beautiful blend off of Etsy, and it was called, I believe it was called like Blood and Bones. It was
Yes.
called Blood and Bones.
Mhm,
And it
mhm.
was a like beautiful, just ancestral flower essence to connect us to our ancestors. And in a way that felt like just very soothing and grounded and just not led with fear. And that changed the game for me. After that, I was like, oh, this is powerful stuff. This is like, it became part of like my healing toolkit. And I fast forward a few years later, I kept using it and I kept watching Linda's journey of like doing her practitioner training and just sharing all the different things that she was learning on along the road. And then for me, what really, really made it like, oh, like we need to really share this more in our communities is my cousin and I and my family, we were going through a really just challenging time where her mother had transitioned and she played a big role in my life as well. And I had remembered and I got her a flower tincture, a flower essence for grief. And she
Mm,
had started to use it and she was dealing with very, very heavy grief. And it was really starting to help her get out of that super, super dark place into a place where she could, yes, she was still sad, of course, but she could maneuver through everyday life more easily. And
right.
so I would love to hear any kind of stories about your journey and how it's helped you or clients and people that you've worked with and the different kind of things that it's helped them with.
Yeah. I'm gonna answer that, but I also would love to hear like how you would define flower essences because I'm
Yeah.
curious about how other people define it. But I can go and share. Um, hmm. So in one of my classes, at the time it was called Sacred Geometry Formula Making course where we got to actually create the flower essence formulas and learn about the geometry of like, okay, if you're using 5 flowers, what does that mean in a formula? If you're using 6 flowers, what does that mean? So it's using principles of numerology with, the elements to understand how to really intentionally create a formula. And so in that class, the final assignment was to find someone and create a formula for them. And so the same friend that put me on to flower essences was like, "Oh, let me make a formula for you." And she was down. So it was great. And also to like she used it her whole life. So I was curious to see like, okay, how I would be able to attune to her needs and hear like certain words and gestures and match it with the essence because there are going to be certain gestures in how we talk, how we say things that equate to a picture or the archetype of a flower essence. And so from what I can remember, she was it was certain needs that were coming up was around career, around honing in and strengthening her self-worth and knowing that she's capable of actualizing the dreams that she already knows that she will actualize, as well as balancing out the many responsibilities that she was maneuvering at the time. So as I was listening to her and of course knowing her, I was mindful of like, oh, let me get this formula, that formula. And looking back at it now, the formula was that was cathartic formula to say the least, but I knew like given her extensive background in flower essences, she would have been able to meet that formula, and that formula meet her with the like phoenix energy. And so when I shared the formula with her and her mom is the one that, you know, have created formula for her and her siblings their entire life, she was like, "Oh, these are the there was like two flower essences that I use." And she was like, "Oh yeah, these are like constitutional flower essences for her." As in like constitutional meaning flower essences that are like uniquely you. Like if you had to pick a one or two flower essences that speak to you and who you are, regardless of how old you are, something that you would have to come back to time and time again, that's that. And so I was just like, "Oh, wow." Not me being able to attune like, "Oh, you need this because it's a part of your constitution. It's a part of your energetic makeup." So that was a really powerful one. I feel like that was like that. I don't want to
Y-
keep going, but
No,
like,
that was great.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm going to answer your question, your counter question on the flower essence. And then I'm going to ask you a question as well. Cause I'm like, in order to even be able to, well, I'll answer the flower essence question after because we on a roll here. So in order to be able to attune yourself to even be able to create a formula for
Mhm.
someone and their specific very unique needs, I'm curious like what kind of internal or inner work do you have to do to be able to even channel that?
Ooh, good question. Um, I think so. Even prior to even coming into flower essences, I've been like actively working on my intuition. I like cultivating the psychic or spiritual abilities. I think so it's an ongoing effort to integrate it back into the body and be present as much as I can into the body. That's something that I feel like needs more developing compared to my emotional, my mental, and my spiritual abilities. So that's something that has been, like, helpful in order for me to receive, but I also think that naturally I have grown into and have come into my own deep sensitivity and empathy where I see it as a strength, and, like, not to even, like, invite the astrology into it, but I do have a lot of, like, quite a few places.
Invited in, invited in.
Yeah, I do have quite a few placements that support that and support the work I'm doing of like, you know, I think so I have a like Cancer moon, but in the fourth house, which I think so the fourth house is around ancestors and I believe. But it's just certain things that in astrology in my day to day that help me with that. Also
Mhm.
to I meditate as much as I can, so that can help me with just facilitating my own energetic and emotional boundaries, in order for me to facilitate and witness other people's healing journeys in that. And I think coming back to my, I guess, birthright as a Haitian American, part of the diaspora, coming back to that ancestral birthright and understanding, learning, practicing Haitian Vodou in the ways that my ancestors not need, but require me to. I think so that has opened even more of a pathway for me to lean into and really attune and be able to like, oh no, this is the healing work that I'm doing because this is my purpose. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So therefore, of course, the wisdom, of course, the guidance is gonna come through when it needs to come through.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And okay, let me answer the question and then we'll segue because I also have a question about that. I love this like counter back and forth. It's really beautiful. But when it comes to flower essences, you know, I never actually thought about it's funny, I asked the question, but I never myself actually thought about like what it is because for me it's such an embodied experience of what I feel when I take it. But the
Mm,
Reiki in the bottle really resonated because like when I take a couple drops under my tongue and I just kind of sit in like this just meditative kind of energy and
mm,
space and like I'm just in the first like I feel like it starts to disseminate its medicine in layers. Like I feel like the first layer feels like a de-armoring of like, okay, I'm not chaotic right now. I'm just like my mind is starting to like ease, and I'm starting to just like kind of like go, shoulders are relaxing, and so I'm starting to get just in more of a receptive energy to then receive the medicine of the essence. So then the next layer is like, okay, like a lot of the times I'll set an intention. Sometimes I don't, but a lot of times I will set an intention and be like, okay, right now I need some support. Like for example, one of the essence that you gave me, actually I use in a variety of different ways. So I got this really beautiful essence from Linda called Resonant Expression, it's called, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes. But we
Okay,
were
yeah.
because, yeah. But yeah.
Yes, but she is like, because I'm like testing, and sharing my experience of it. And so I've been in a place where even with this podcast, I actually took it before the podcast because I'm in a place of like having to get outside of being so behind the camera. As a filmmaker, I'm always behind the camera, and I'm finding spirit really calling me to step up and like share my voice, share my words with the world more. And so I was like, okay, let me get a little boost and to help me with this kind of journey of expressing, of activating the throat chakra more. And so resonant expression has been exactly that for me, of like really easing my nerves around being in front of people and in front of things, and then allowing me to, for the my intentions and what I desire to share with the world, to actually be coming out, in a way that is very aligned with my heart. And so even I was in New Orleans a couple of days ago for this filmmakers workshop where I had to do a pitch for the film that I'm in development with the director. And I literally hate talking in front of people. Like I'm just
Mhm.
like, leave me out of it. But I also took it right before then, and like it just aligned me in such a way where like I was very calm. Like
Mhm.
my spirit was just very calm, and the words came out. Do I know exactly what I was saying? I can't even remember because I felt like my intuition came out and just the words started just flowing. But at
Mhm.
the end, I felt like at so peaceful and like, wow, like, yeah, we did it. We, you know what I mean? So flower essences, essentially, I don't have a definition for it, but I have experiences. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And they really, whatever that intention is and whatever the frequency of the flower essence is attuned to, it just helps you do that thing, or it helps you experience that thing, or it helps you get over that thing,
Yeah.
to an extent. So that's been my experience.
Thank you for that. Literally, as we were talking, I was like, "Oh, I need to add this flower essence into the formula that I gave you," because you just said something again, and that was like, "Oh, I made a connection." So thank you.
Yeah, and I like this kind of thing where I, like, you taught me this, where it's not just like, okay, the flower essence, make it and it's done. It's really like Linda has been really working with me back and forth of like, what has my experience been like, and like really see attuning. She's really good at that. You're really good at that, of like attuning like, okay, the needs of the person, and then being like, okay, the next formula, I'm gonna add this or I'm gonna tweak that. And I think that speaks to the vibrational nature of the work that you're doing. It's not just like, okay, one and done, perfect, gone. It's like, no, we have to keep connecting, keep feeling, keep seeing, and working our way through to like the next iteration, and I think that's really powerful to be able to like receive that as a client, that kind of back and forth and like collaboration, even though you're the expert here. It's like really, yeah, I like that. It's really beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that you use the word collaboration because that's really what it is.
Hmm. Absolutely. And now to go back a little bit, I am so curious because we both have a background of growing up Catholic. So I'm so curious of like this kind of discovery journey that I've gone to watch you go through the past couple of years, and
Mhm.
with voodoo, and like how has that journey been like? Where are you at with it now? What has that discovery process been? How have you kind of broken these shackles of like, oh, voodoo is evil, the thing that we about tired of hearing?
Yes, heavy on the shackles. Where do I start? So I think so. I mean, growing up, yes, I was raised Catholic. My dad was Catholic. Well, in my like lifetime and growing up, my dad was Catholic. My mom was Jehovah Witness, but she was Catholic. Well, mm, she became Jehovah Witness, I believe, in the late '90s, early 2000s. That time, so I only gotten to see her be a Jehovah Witness. But with my dad, like I lean more to Catholicism because that's just by the nature of like just growing up. And so even though we were raised Catholic, there were also certain practices my dad would do that obviously is not Catholic, but it will just be for our own good. And I have one of those Haitian parents that, they're not too fond of in you asking questions. It's just a matter of just do it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've had a lot of curiosity in terms of like, for example, during the day before the Independence Day, January 1st, my dad will always have us sit down, read a couple passages from Psalm. We would cut up fruits and certain things, and then he would always leave out a coffee offering, and we would each light our own Balen candle, but it usually be like one by the coffee, and then we would do a bang, like a bath. Um, a few years ago, I come to find out like that's part of the Makaya season, where it's like that season is at the end of the year, where before you step into the new year, you are cleansing out any negativity, anything that doesn't serve you, so that when you step into the new year, you're calling it prosperity. You're coming into the new year anew. And so I wish that I gained that type of knowledge of understanding the history and the language of around the practices I was doing growing up, but it always stick with me. Like even when I went away to college, I'm like, yeah, I need to be doing the things because it's like it's practice, it's tradition. And so that was that. And then as I got into college, it's so interesting looking back at it now. It's like, how was I able to just naturally like create a concentration and talk about the epistemology of Vodou and Black feminist thought? And I was just like, no, no, no. That was God, the honorable ancestors, and the Loa speaking through me. Because I was just pulling things together and weaving it in such a way where I was just like, nah, I kind of was ahead of my time given my upbringing or given just the collective thought that was around me growing up, especially growing up Haitian American, when you are with other peers. I grew up majority with other Caribbean children, and it's like, oh, you speak Haitian, oh, you do voodoo. So it's like that was the collective energy growing up. So for me to be able to step into that lineage fully in college through my study was kind of like, where did that come from? But I obviously, like God, laws, and honorable
Right.
ancestors, they were.
You can't take it out. The spirit is there
It's there.
regardless.
And so I think so in my early 20s, as I was cultivating this concentration, it was more of the thought, the theory, and less of the practice. I think so now as I'm in my like late 20s, like from my mid to late 20s, I am able to do more of the practice behind Haitian Vodou and not just talking about it or not just learning about it and not just reading about it. Granted, I grew up with certain practices, but at the um it was at the background, not it wasn't at the forefront of my experience, but it was there. It was ever present, and how my dad talked about things, and in terms of being there was certain sensitivities around things and just protecting my mind, protecting who I am and my essence. And I would love to share a story real quick. I just think kind of brings everything together. And so recently, maybe like last year, I was having a conversation with my dad, and I was just asking him, like, because I was really just thinking about my time in Haiti in 2012. And then we spent a few days in Okai, where both of my parents are from. So countryside, um, yeah, countryside. And I got to see like how they was living, truth. And which was humbling. It was expansive. It was truly, I got to witness what a traditional Laku system looked like. So I'm ever grateful, forever grateful. And so as we were having this conversation last year, he was saying, "Oh, you remember when we was in Okai and I gave you that tea?" And I said, what tea? Like, you always giving me tea. And like, I drink it. Like, so it's nothing special. It's like, oh, it's another tea. He's like, "Oh, that tea I pulled to like he pulled the roots. He put something together. And essentially that tea represented me connecting with the ancestors through the tear, through the earth, the teas, the leaves, the literally the elements of the land, in order for me to like have that connection." And I said, whoa, because I didn't know that at that time, but I truly, the way I experienced Haiti and the way I left Haiti was like, I didn't have the language for it, but I had this overwhelming, overpowering, like profound feeling that I had to support um, the Haitian diaspora in Haiti in such a way where I didn't have the language for it, but I gained that language over time. And so for him to tell me that last year, I was just like, oh, that makes sense. They working through me. Like I'm a vessel. I'm a conduit of so much. Um, yeah, yeah. So
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. And so you didn't know at the time that like there was earth in your tea. There was the ground, the soil beneath your feet in Haiti in the tea.
no, you already know. Like we don't really have space to ask too many questions. So
Listen, I'm at a point now where I'm asking all the questions,
right,
even if like, yeah, but that is so beautiful. And honestly, like there is just it's such powerful alignment because I also had a dream maybe I don't know, a couple years ago where, mind you, I haven't been in Haiti since I was 2 years old, which is really, yeah, I know, like it's tough. And when we were going to Haiti, the plane almost crashed. So
mm,
that was, and we had a couple stories of that in my family where my cousin, when she was going to Haiti, a similar thing. So my parents, like, it was kind of like a very challenging situation. And so for me, I think that journey really helped me because I was like, okay, if I'm not, especially with the political climate right now, like now I'm old enough to go by myself. When I was younger and I wanted to go, it was hard to go by myself. But with the political climate now, that poses the next challenge of going back. And it's not to say that I can't go back. It's really about divine timing and alignment. And so I had this dream where I was feeling really sad about like, oh, I really want to go to Haiti. I want to go home. I want to touch the land. I want to see my family, all these things. And the literally, like, I was crying about it. And the same night I had a dream, and I was sitting at my grandfather and grandmother's home in Tigua, which is also a bit of the country a bit. And I had a dream where I was given this beautiful tea from the garden, and then they put a little bit of soil in it and then mixed it up, and then I drank it, and they were like, you're always connected regardless. Like, this is in you, like Haiti is in you, whether you're physically on the soil or not, that doesn't change. And so it's this beautiful, like, kind of magical essence of like, we are always connected. And that's why, like, even without having the verbiage and the language, you're just doing things. You're able to, like, in your time at NYU and beyond, be able to like do this work. And then after the fact, be like, oh wow, like spirit was moving through me because I didn't even have the words or the language to say what I was doing, but I
right.
knew in my heart what needed to be done, and I took that action. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really beautiful. And I am just excited for how our journeys continue to unfold doing this work, because it's still very stigmatized. I'm like, even in my family, like there's this interesting divide between, the people that are practicing Catholics and then the people that do Vodou. But it's interesting to see, because it's like the way in Haiti, it's so much more intertwined because of how we had to hide our spiritual practices within Catholicism, and how they then became like they've merged in ways. And then so to see that divide, it's a lot we're working through. So shout out to us for
Yeah.
doing that reclamation work.
No. Yeah. No, shout outs. And I do. And it's so interesting because I feel like with my dad, as I was asking him questions now, he's sharing so much. Like even when I said like, "Oh, what do you know about this war?" and he starts singing the song, and I'm like, you knew this all this time? Like, you're sitting on gems. You're sitting on literally intergenerational wisdom. And I'm like, sir, what is
They
going
don't
on?
see it that way though.
And he told me, because I asked him, I'm like, why didn't you like offer this and share this a bit more? He was just like, honestly, two things. He said that when his parents transitioned, he felt disconnected. And second, he's like, oh, I didn't know you all as Haitian Americans being born in America would even want to learn. And I was
Which is
like,
why.
what? Give us an option. Like, at least if you were presented an option, then this way we could let you know rather than you making that choice. But I think so, in addition to I mean, I do believe moving to a different country, and then having to deal with the like this American way of being and then the stigmatization, um, that in itself could do a number on the disconnection that's already present. So yeah.
That's real. That's real. Cause it's like I know for me growing up too, on the sentiments of what you're saying, like my first language was Creole, like straight up. Like I have tapes of me as a kid, like a little 3-year-old just speaking Creole, and my accent was thick. It was thick. I'm like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, that was baby love. Wild. But my
Mhm.
parents, there was a teacher in my school that basically told my parents that it's going to be hard to be able to speak Creole and to be able to speak English when I'm learning this new language. So to
Mm,
pick one. And because we're in America, they were like, okay, like you got to learn English.
mm,
And then from there, like I really lost that. Like I could always understand everything that was being said, but like I had to do a lot of work to get that back and to like be able to speak. And even now, I still got my little accent, which is so funny. My little American accent when I speak, which is so funny because you know how the Haitians will make fun of you for that through and through, it is what it is. And then you feel a little bit like, well, I don't want to get made fun of for speaking it. So anyway, it's just funny, but that level of like, they they didn't share as much because it's like they're trying to make a life in a new place, and that whole world of like bridging two cultures together, it's definitely a journey. And that's why the work we're doing it's that, just even on the self-discovery point
yeah.
between being an American person but also a Haitian person, and all of that comes with that.
Mm.
Yes. It's deep, but
Literally.
uh to segue a little bit, as we begin to wrap up, I wanted to kind of ask you, you do a lot of different wellness practices. So, what are some everyday holistic practices or tools that folks can really utilize to ground themselves into the ebbs and flow of all the things that are going up on in this world right now?
Mm. I think so immediately what comes up, like people are saying that, they don't have the time for things. And I even catch myself in that as well. I think for me right now, I've been journaling by the way of writing via Substack because I noticed I haven't been journaling, but I have been writing, and that counts. And I think so I've been able to sit with certain heavy emotions and really pour into my writing in such a way. So that has been really supportive for me. And also too, like going back to flower essences. Like the other day I was in such a rut. And I allowed myself to feel because I think so I never want to bypass how I'm feeling. And I gave myself some time and then I said, wait, I can make a formula to this. and I made a formula for it.
Period.
And yeah, I was just like letting the tools support me as well. I think so that's a reminder, like, yeah, I'm offering these tools, but let it support me. Two other things that are a bit more practical. I've been using like my shower time as like meditative. So maybe I'm playing an affirmation from YouTube or just some calming music. And then I just imagine like I face the shower head like I face like I sorry, words, English. I face my back towards the shower head and I imagine the water and everything that I'm carrying on my shoulders. Because I've just been feeling like the world is on my shoulders. And I'm just imagining that energy just trickling down and going into the sewer, going into the drain. And so that has been a practice that has been helping me because I've been asking myself how much grief can I let go today? How much burdens and worries can I let go today?
Right.
Because that also is the energy work that you can do for yourself. You don't necessarily need someone else doing that for you. You can do that on an everyday. And one more thing, uh, stretching. Because I'm again, I
Same.
need more support for myself to like integrate more somatic things like I said earlier in the podcast. And so I've been helping myself like just move my body in such a way, and I know that's something that's been said like every single day, but you're aging, so that also is a motivator for me to like really move in a certain ways that I haven't been used to, especially as a person that, sits, for a long period of time, given the work that I do.
Yes. Ooh, the movement is crucial. I'm like the day that I don't stretch, I be feeling it. I be feeling it. So having those like tools of like it doesn't have to be this whole big ordeal. Like sometimes it's hard for people to like go to the gym consistently, and it's like, well, there are other tools and there are other things that we can do, and like stretching is like a big one for me because it also like I need to be limber, and I feel like it's a metaphor for being just able to be flexible in life. If you're
Yeah.
like really stiff in the body, it's gonna be you're probably gonna be stiff energetically too, so
No,
that is
literally.
the big one. Yeah,
Yeah, you said
thank
a
you
word.
for sharing. Yeah. And so what does legacy look like for you, and what is the legacy that you're building through Sages living and just through your life in general?
Okay, that I think so. That's such a big one. It's ongoing, of course. It's ever evolving. But the first word that popped up, and I'm curious about. Um, the first word that popped up for me was bitation. And bitation. It's so interesting to define that word. For me, it's like like your ancestral spiritual home, your habitation. So it's like part of your lineage, something that you can return to. It's I would say adjacent to your ancestors, with a spiritual layer to it. And so I guess when I think of legacy work, is strengthening my habitation so that when I transition, whoever comes after me or whoever has access to me, because your habitation doesn't necessarily have to be. I don't think so. It has to be related to you, but whoever has access to me in the future could call on um this collective habitation so that they can support themselves and change their emotional, mental health, and spiritual realities. So my legacy work is strengthening that through these practices because I know that even in the flower essence work that I'm doing, that it is like shifting such energetic blockages and strengthening so much energy for my maternal line and all the lineages that have come before me in ways that I get to tap into the pleasure that they experience, alleviate the trauma that they experience, and really just bring some wholeness. It's just like this work is so much that is to describe it at times, I could get overwhelmed because it's like there's so many moving parts. But that, I guess, given the capacity and what is being revealed to me in this moment, that is what's coming up.
Wow. Okay. I thank you for sharing this kind of um thing around the habitation. And I actually is that a Vodou principle? Because I don't actually know it very well.
I would say, yeah. I would say it's,
Yeah.
yeah. Huh.
Okay, so essentially it's like a like kind of your spiritual ancestral home of your lineage and like the work that you do. Is that what it is kind of?
Yes. Yes.
And okay, and the work that you do now basically transcends and supports that kind of like the
Yes.
energies, the people that become part of that habitation. Is that
Yes.
how?
So essentially, like you have
Mhm.
your habitation on your mom's side, your habitation on your
Ah,
dad's side, like that. Um,
I see. Okay.
so I may have like a question like for one of the elders of like, does your habitation necessarily have to be like related to you by blood? But that's a question I have because we're learning as well. I'm a
We
student
learn.
too. So
We learned in. Okay, I'm definitely like that is such a powerful like thing that is we have so much access to so many beautiful things in the spiritual and ancestral realms that it's like sometimes we just gotta be still enough to then hear and receive and see, what they have for us. So that's a beautiful legacy that you're building. Yes. And wow, I would love to know what's next for you and how can people support you in your work because it is so powerful. So,
where do I start? So I have some flower essence remedies available in stock as part of the Suggest Living collection. So I have a few. One, creatrice, which can help with creativity in the everyday with grace and ease. And I have equanimity that supports you feeling the calmness and groundness regardless of what is going on in your life and life challenges. And I'll be adding more flower essences, especially as they feel ready to be released to the world. And those are $22 online. So you can find me
very
at
cool.
sagesstliving.com. You can also find me on Substack. I've been getting into the writing and just sharing just my education, my thoughts around flower essences. I even wrote a article recently about flower essences for the cast of sinners. And that was just a cool idea that yeah,
I need to
yeah.
tap in.
So I
I'll put
just
in the
okay, okay. I just thought about it like 2 days ago and I said, let me write it. And so I did. And, if you want to do some one-on-one consultation, I am available. Everything is on my website. And of course, if you know any organizations, groups, teams that would, benefit from the work I do, whether that be meditation, journaling, flower essence therapy, which I would love to bring to teams and organizations as well. Because I always think about like, what if we were able to bring flower essences into the workspace? That
oof.
could bring about such a cohesive, grounded team that you can actually arrive closer to your team goals, arrive closer to your organization's mission statement and vision. So that is where my thoughts are going and my where I want to do as a person who's a manifesting generation generator. I do a lot
Yeah.
of things given my capacity. And last thing, because it's coming up to me to share for a flower essence suggestion based off like what we discussed. Star Tulip is coming up as a flower essence for me to share with the folks. And that flower essence really supports in you developing your psychic and spiritual abilities, but it's also referred to as the listening remedy. So, listening that you can cultivate that stillness to listen, to be able to receive from whoever you call God, ancestors, your spirits, so that you can integrate and have more of a connected relationship with them. So, Star Tulip flower essence.
Yes, thank you for that beautiful mention of the star tulip. I know me, I'm running, not walking to get the Creatrice blend
Mhm.
because I know that is gonna be so powerful. And this is one of the main reasons why, along with all your beautiful magic, why I wanted to bring Linda on because flower essences are so accessible and there's such a powerful medicine that are accessible to marginalized communities who might not have all the money in the world to be spending on a bunch of therapy or different things that might be less accessible. And so
Yes.
we need to share this with folks, like, hey, like, whether you're dealing with grief, whether you're stepping into the next expansion of your life, whether you're trying to get in your creative bag, like, there is an essence, there is a flower for anything and everything. And so our people need this. So you're doing such powerful work. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, let me know if you have any last words to share before we close out.
That is all. I thank you for even asking me and inviting me to come and speak on your podcast. I'm honored.
Yes, yes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.